WSB.
Hi, Sean.
I talked to you yesterday.
Good. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes. A great host. Show is radio. Listen to his show.
Absolutely, 95.5.
One mic.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Shelley Winter Show, live, local, topical, and relevant, ladies and gentlemen. And we have a lot to talk to you about, with you about tonight. Tonight, excuse me. And I'm trying to text our guests to remind them to call in. I want to talk about everything going on with these memes that are coming out with Jesus and stuff like that. This is becoming crazy to me. It really is. It's becoming crazy. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this DeKalb murder. Did you hear about this one? A DHS employee is murdered by an illegal, well, I guess he was naturalized in 2022, but the guy's got an extensive record, and we have to talk about that. Carolyn Bordeaux joins us at 8:06, going to talk about some fundraising numbers on the Democrat side, and is this anything for us to worry about as Republicans running in the state? And also Live Golf is going away, and also at the end of the show I'm going to do a little tribute to Jackie Robinson, as today is Jackie Robinson Day. But let me give some time. This is our guest calling in. His name is Chaston Adkins. He is the president of the Georgia College Republicans. And let me go to him now. He was last night. He was at the Talking Point USA event at University of Georgia. And he's calling in to be our expert reporter on the scene. Chaston, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's a good day and to be in Athens, Georgia. That's what it is fundamentally.
My man. So you were at the event last night. We've been talking about it. People have been talking about it all day. First of all, the pictures coming out from the event of a 2/3 empty gymnasium, event center, whatever you want to call it. Were those accurate images?
Shelley, I really hate to say it. That was the accurate picture that we had there. And I think there's fundamentally a lot of reasons for that, but we can just go over a few of them. Number one, there was a lot of confusion with when the event would be happening and if RSVPs were happening or not. They sent out things saying, hey, you got to fill out this form, do an RSVP. People did that, and they never got a confirmation email. So there was a lot of confusion, like, wait, can I go to the event? Can I not go to the event? What's the process for students getting in? There was a lot of confusion. And then on top of that, the big thing is no one really knew where or when the event was going to happen. They didn't really give us that information until the day of, and they said, oh, it's at the Aikens Ford Arena. Well, that's close to campus, but it's not on campus. And they said, by the way, doors open at 1:50, and on top of that, it starts at 5. Now, big issue you got with that is even at 5 o'clock, you still got a lot of students that are in classes. And on top of that, as late as we are into the spring semester, finals are coming around the corner. So you get a lot of issues where students, with their schedules being as hectic as it is, whether they're involved in Greek life, fraternity, sorority outreach, that type of deal, they really just can't make it. And then the struggle I think that they really have is the chapter here.
Hold on. When you say they, who are you talking about? Turning Point or? When you say they, when you say the challenge they have, who are you talking about? They
is in the chapter here and just the organizers of the event. That's the big struggle they've got right there.
Okay, go ahead.
It's just you get mass confusion, and the other thing you really got is the leadership of the local chapter are a lot of real young college students, a bunch of freshmen who are really running things for the first time, and I give them a lot of credit. They put on a good event as they could do, but the thing is, at the end of the day, without the institutional knowledge that you really have from upperclassmen, without the relations you get over a year or two actually going to the University of Georgia, you get a lot that's really lost in translation. And so, they do a lot of typical things of you got to go out there, you got a table, you got to, put flyers up, that sort of thing, communicate your message in person. But the thing that really they got to do, and I think this is fundamental, at least for young people in our day and age, is you've got to be out there on social media. You got to be posting it on your personal Instagram account, your mom's Facebook account. Get her to get her friends to come over. They can drive up from Watkinsville or something like that.
Right.
That's the fundamental thing that we've got to see happen there. We got to see that cross-broad engagement on social media. And there were some ads that were put out, and I saw a couple of them myself and other people did. But you didn't see really that massive engagement that had to be presented to get a really good and full audience. And on top, yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to say this. We're on the phone with Chaston Adkins. He is the president of the college, Georgia College Republicans, talking about last night. Go ahead. So, Chaston, before you go any further, let me ask you. So, do you think this was an organizational kind of dropping of the ball with TPUSA in Athens? Do you think that's what caused all of this?
I think you've got a little bit of that. I think, but the big thing really is also timing. It's just a bad time to want to do any sort of big events really in Clark County and in Athens, just because you've got finals coming around the corner, and also the time of day as well is a big thing.
Right.
5 o'clock's hard because people are still in classes, especially those biology students and those sorts of things. They've got OChem exams. They've got physiology exams. They've got all these other types of things going on. And so that's really one of the big problems that you see get really presented there. But on top of that, I think what you've got at the University of Georgia, I think more so than other big schools in the SEC, whether it be Alabama or Auburn, you've got a lot of closeted, frankly.
I'm sorry, you dropped out on that last word, closeted
conservatives. You've got a lot of people who they'll vote Republican in the primary. Maybe they'll show out for the midterms. They probably will most certainly show out for the presidential cycle. But, when it comes to getting them involved, the student activists, getting them to go to these bigger, more, covered events, that sort of thing, you have a hard time really getting them out. There's a barrier to entry almost they really don't want to cross. And I think that's one of the big hurdles we got, not just as, Turning Point USA or college Republicans, but I think it's a bigger thing we're going to have going forward as Republicans.
I need you, Chaston. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Chaston Adkins. He's the president of the Georgia College Republicans. And I've met him. I've talked to him. This kid is a rising star. Every single person that knows this young man as an adult, I'm talking about people in politics, will tell you this kid is a brilliant young man. I want you to say what you said again about crossing the barrier. Could you say that again for people listening right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things that we really are seeing, like I said, there's a lot of closeted conservatives at this university. I'd say you've got maybe 55, 60% of people here, because we are a college in the South, they are probably conservatives, maybe even identify as Republicans if they want to put a party affiliation on that. But the big thing is, how do we get them out? How do we get them engaged outside of just going to vote? And that's the big thing that we're really struggling to see. How do we do that? And I think I don't have a good, clear answer for you. And I think that's one of the things we've been trying to test and do. As a college Republican, one of the big things you do here is you go do a bar social. You put a tab out there, say, this is what our tab is, here's how much money we're putting down, and we're just going to all have a social evening, not really do any major political talk, but we're going to have community. We're going to break bread.
Right.
That's one of the big things you got to do. That's a big breaking in that barrier to entry. And we did that for the 2024 election, and I can't tell you the last I saw a room that packed full of conservatives that were wearing Make America Great Again hats.
Right.
That's one of the big things, and so it's really how do we get those people involved? And I think that removing politics sometimes really brings a lot of people in.
Absolutely.
Because politics is a hard subject for people. And I think that in this day of age with the polarization, that sort of thing, people are worried, well, am I going to make my family mad? Am I going to make my best friend mad? Am I going to make my president of my fraternity mad? That type of thing.
Right.
I'll give you an example really quick. One of my friends, he went to the event. He walked out, and there were protesters screaming at everyone who passed by saying, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA, just horrible stuff like that, and saying shame, shame, shame on the people who attended the event. And one of my friends, he walked out, and he saw his next-door neighbor from back home screaming like a rabid animal almost.
Right.
And I was like, what in God's name?
Let me ask you this. Do you think those protesters also played a role in the low turnout?
I wouldn't say I'm not exactly sure they played a role in the low turnout at first because, doors open at 1:50.
Right.
And I'm not sure what time those protesters actually got there. But what I will say is they definitely were happy to greet people outside with vitriol. That's
Right.
what I will say. And I think going forward, that's going to make things harder for people.
To come back out for the next event. Excellent point.
Exactly. So, yeah. So I think what we fundamentally need to see is, a turning down of the temperature. People, in Georgia, but across the country, being able to say, look, I disagree with you, but fundamentally we should have some common respect for each other, even though we have differences of policy preferences. And the other thing really is as Republicans, we've got to find what's the message that's going to really stick with people. And one thing that I heard J.D. Vance talk about that I think really should and is going to be something that young people hold on to is affordability. We do have an affordability crisis in this country. We've got rising prices for everything from gasoline to your everyday amenities, but also on top of that, home prices. I think the General Assembly under Burt Jones and the Speaker's leadership has tried really hard to tack on to that, whether it be the property tax issue, whether it be what's going to be the up and coming to do with data centers, what are we going to do with the state income tax? We are really trying hard to tackle these issues because this isn't something that's going to be affecting us for the next 5 to 10 years. This is going to be 20 years. This is when we're going to start buying houses, when we're going to move out of mom and dad's house, and we're going to have to go pick up and find where we're going to put our family at.
Absolutely.
And so we need to find out a solution that's going to make things good for the next generation, really this generation that is in school right now. And so that's what we fundamentally need to be talking about. And the more we talk about that, the more we buy up the TV ads, the more we get on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
How
TikTok
hard is I'm going long because this is very important. I want to get this out. How hard is it for you to get what you're talking about out when the generation above you, my generation, the boomer generation, is shouting down everybody and telling them, oh, there's no affordability issue. No, you're worried, the Democrats and all these name calling. How hard is it for you guys to do what you're saying should be done?
I think it does make it much more difficult. I think it's hard when you've got a lack of acknowledgement. And I think one thing that we've seen some people in your generation, some people who are baby boomers, but also people who are, Generation X, that sort of thing, who are in the state legislature right now, people like Senator Tillery, people like Senator Walker, who are really evaluating these issues. And they're thinking, well, we've got to do something to help these people out. And maybe they're thinking about it in terms of what we have right now. But anything that we do right now to try and make these issues with property taxes, especially to make homes more affordable, to make it more affordable to even stay in your homes, because we're not just talking about things that will affect the next generation. These are things that affect your retiring mothers and fathers right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Exactly. That's the big thing.
My man, Chaston Adkins, he's the president of the Georgia College Republicans. I'm telling you, this is a bright young man. And if you heard what he just said, I'll be posting the entire clip on my Facebook. This must be heard by the boomers and myself and our generation of Republicans, because this young man just spoke the truth. Thank you very much, Chaston. Keep up the great work. Good luck on exams, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
Yes, sir.
Goodbye.
My man. From the mouths of babes, ye shall learn. From the mouths of babes, ye shall learn. We'll be right back. It's the Shelley Winter Show. 404-872-0750. 1-800-WS.